From South Carolina Public Radio, this is the South Carolina Lede. I'm your host, Gavin Jackson, and this episode was recorded on September 8th, 2025, from South Carolina Public Radio Studios here in Columbia. We got a couple of announcements, including our final announcement for our live taping at Rock Hill Brewing in Rock Thrill on September 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. with me, Winthrop University Political Science Professor Scott Huffman, and AP National Politics reporter Meg Kennard. It's going to be a wonderful event. We're talking all things campaign trail since we are post-Labor Day, and we like to think that you're paying attention to the campaign trail. Well, we're going to make you pay attention at Rock Hill Brewing on September 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. You can RSVP for the free event at southcarolinapublicradio.org. That's right, Rock Hill. We're coming back to town, and we want to see you. On this episode of The Lead, we have a bit of a grab bag for you. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of campaign trail stuff later this week. But we got some updates for you on statehouse activity and the latest with former state representative R.J. May, who is set to go on trial in a month after being indicted in June on 10 counts of distributing child sexual abuse material. We have a vibe check courtesy of a new CBS News poll that is gauging how Americans feel about National Guard troops in Washington and potentially other cities, as well as the economy, as we look at some economic data ahead of the Fed's meeting next week on interest rates. And of course, meteorological fall is here, y'all. It is upon us. We have a regional weather outlook for the season, and Mayan Schechter joins us in the wind down to discuss what fall means to her.
Wow.
And we find out what we like best about this season. And just because we're on the podcast doesn't mean you can escape pledge, folks. That's right. Real quick plug, if you've been listening to South Carolina Public Radio, you know we're in fall pledge. And I just wanted to ask you for your support. We want to invite you to participate in our fall fundraising drive. This show and countless others truly are supported by listeners like you. Now is a great time to give. When you donate, you can even get a great thank you gift like a South Carolina Public Radio t-shirt, NPR swag, or tickets to upcoming events. There's a lot out there. Make your gift online at southcarolinapublicradio.org or by calling, you know the number, 800-256-8535. Thank you. Now let's get into the show. Oh, another phone number for you, 803-563-7169. You can call that after you donate to the ETV endowment and let us know what you love about fall. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a very controversial wind down, so you're going to want to stick around, listen up, and give us a shout at 803-563-7169. And now I'm going to be talking for the entire episode. That's right, folks. I have 6 pages of script I'm going to be speaking to you. Thank you, sports fan. Let's start off on what's on tap for this week in the State House. This week, there are a few meetings, including another House SCDOT modernization ad hoc meeting. But this is taking place in Greenville since the Republican caucus is on retreat in the area at the same time. There are 2 Senate Medical Affairs subcommittee meetings on a variety of regulatory bills on Wednesday and Thursday. Up in Congress, they're in session, and the sprint to the fiscal year funding deadline continues. That's right, at the end of the month. We'll see what happens. On the economic calendar, we're going to see consumer price index inflation numbers out for August on Thursday. And that's the last major piece of economic data to drop before the Federal Open Market Committee meets next week on interest rates. We got more econ news later in the podcast. That's when I talk later in the podcast.
Interesting.
But let's start off with some State House news. Former Lexington County Republican Representative R.J. May has decided to sideline his public defenders and will represent himself at his federal trial over the possession and dissemination of child sexual abuse material in October. Mayan Schechter reported from the federal courthouse in Columbia last week that May, who is not a lawyer, made the decision as he seeks to build his case off of the premise that one of his enemies hacked his Wi-Fi, and that was how the underage pornography was disseminated. Now, federal authorities assert that the social messaging app Kik flagged several videos from the username Joe Biden69 as containing CSAM, and investigators connected the account to the home IP address and mobile device of May and identified at least 10 videos depicting child sexual abuse that were shared from the account. So, home IP address and mobile device being key phrases here. But that impasse with his defenders came over his desire to file a motion to suppress the residential search warrant, one of 7 total warrants lodged against the married father of 2 children under the age of 10. May, who helped to launch the far-right House Freedom Caucus, says he has political enemies that are targeting him. The trial is set to start the second week of October. There's also a special election for the Republican-leaning District 88 seat, and that is scheduled for December 23rd. There's a primary that will be held on October 21st, and if necessary, a runoff will be November 4th. And now that's his old seat, District 88 right there. And that's one of several special elections coming up. We will bring you more details on those other ones once filing wraps up for all 4 of those statehouse seats. So we're going to go from the state to something a bit more national, a national vibe check, if you will, courtesy of CBS News' most recent poll earlier this month of 2,385 American adults that found that the president's popularity remains low but has slightly ticked up, reversing a months-long slide since February when he was at 53% support. As of early September, his approval rating sits at 44%. Now, when it comes to stationing National Guard troops, such as the 200 from South Carolina and Washington, D.C., to assist with crime fighting and landscaping, a majority of Americans, 58%, oppose deploying National Guard troops to other American cities. CBS says those in favor of President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to cities are largely in his Republican base and say it reduces crime, feels like it makes them personally safer, even if they don't live in cities, and that in principle they'd support deployment to other U.S. cities. But here's a bit of a vibe check. 61% said they would not favor troops being deployed to their cities. So a more for thee, not me type vibe. Okay, NIMBY, not my backyard. Now, Republicans say immigration, the economy, crime, and government agencies and spending are the top issues they're judging Trump on. That flips for Democrats that cite federal agencies and programs and spending as their top issue, and followed right behind that is the economy and inflation, which, like we're talking about, is still high, then immigration and tariffs and trade. When it comes to tariffs, 4 in 10 Americans report buying fewer things because of tariffs, and support for tariffs continues to drop incrementally, if steadily. And 68% of Americans say they want a Federal Reserve Bank independent from Trump. That ticks up to 70% when folks say he should not be able to replace members he disagrees with. Again, that need for Fed independence is critical to the stability and credibility of the American economy, according to economists and pretty much anyone involved in the economy. Speaking of the Fed, a little pivot here, the Federal Open Market Committee meets next week to decide the latest on interest rates, with a 0.25% cut all but expected. The bigger question is whether that cut is going to be bigger than originally planned and or what other cuts may look like this year amid a major slowdown in job creation since the so-called Liberation Day back in April, when the sporadic and confusing rollout of tariffs on imported goods to the United States went into effect, sorta, kinda, with our biggest trading partners. Now, even with trade negotiations since then, new agreements aren't entirely in effect, including with the European Union, which in some cases is halting exports to the U.S. due to confusion over the 50% metal tariffs on products that contain steel and aluminum, or as they say over there, aluminium. Some things we just don't say. Now, it's not just the EU. India is facing 50% tariffs, while Japan just finalized 15% tariffs on imports following an agreement to invest $550 billion in projects selected by the U.S. government and ramping up agricultural purchases, per CNBC. Meanwhile, farmers are being squeezed. See the New York Times headline, quote, John Deere, a U.S. icon, is undermined by tariffs and struggling farmers, quote, as the company has seen steel and aluminum tariffs cost it $300 million so far this year, with another $300 million by the end of the year. That's $600 million. The company laid off 238 employees this summer, and American farmers have lost access to significant soybean market share in China. The Times noted that after Mr. Trump announced steep tariffs on Chinese goods this year, China placed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans in March. So soy exports to China are down 51% this year, and the country hasn't made any advanced purchases of soybeans for the upcoming harvest. And U.S. growers are expected to receive $3.4 billion less for their soybean crop than they did last year. That's according to the USDA. So obviously it's a culmination of volatile commodity prices due to trade issues, labor concerns exacerbated by immigration raids, higher costs for things like equipment and fertilizer, again, tariffs, and then interest rates still being very high. In fact, this has all led to an increase in farm bankruptcies across the country, something maybe was not on your radar, but according to the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture, farm bankruptcy filings are rising. That's a sign that agriculture is facing the same high financial pressures like it did back in the first Trump administration in 2018 and 19. So far, there have been 259 bankruptcy filings across the country through the first quarter, just the first quarter of this year. That has already exceeded 2024, which saw 216 total. But 2019 was recently the worst year for such bankruptcies nationwide at 599. So like I said moments ago, we will see what the August inflation numbers will look like on Thursday when we do the numbers. Well, actually, when the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the Consumer Price Index data for August. And that's the last of some key economic data that the Federal Open Market Committee will weigh at its meeting next week on what to do with interest rates. Remember, July inflation had ticked up to 2.7% for the year, and that's stubbornly high and sticking around, and it's just hovering around the Fed's 2% goal. Now, Wall Street is all but certain of a 0.25% cut to the federal funds rate, which is at 4.33%, and that's a rate that banks use to determine borrowing. Now, for some context, looking back last year, that rate was a full percentage point higher. And that's when the Fed started cutting for the first time since increasing rates amid a hot economy following the pandemic. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember when everyone was shopping and buying things and driving the price up and the Suez Canal created a whole bottleneck for the whole worldwide economy? Yes.
Yes.
Rates were at zero during the pandemic due to the volatility of the global economy. And then in 2022, like we're talking about, inflation was becoming more than transitory, forcing the Fed to raise rates by more than 5 percentage points between March 2022 and July 2023. Last September, there was a 0.5% cut, followed by two more totaling 0.5% as well. But inflation has remained sticky, and the labor market remains strong, leading the FOMC to hold off on cuts, especially while uncertainty swirled around tariffs the entire year. But this year, there have been months of soft jobs numbers, including recent revisions that have made it clear that it's time to cut rates. In fact, last week's jobs report for August found that the economy added just 22,000 jobs last month. We always talk about a target of adding around 125,000 jobs to make it a good, quote, good report, and then you're talking about just 22,000? Now, that data comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which saw its director fired last month because President Trump didn't like the unemployment report numbers, despite the director having no control over such data. In fact, revised data found that there was a net loss of jobs in June for the first time since 2020, when we were in the middle of a pandemic. And August marks 4 months of sluggish growth. So kind of wrapping up here before we get to fall, I want to talk about how the Wall Street Journal noted that the U.S. has added less than 600,000 jobs so far this year. Also in a separate report, the Labor Department found that for the first time in more than 4 years, there are more people looking for work than there are job openings, and that's according to NPR. So we will have more economic news coverage and insight later this month when I catch up with Dr. Joey Von Nessen at the University of South Carolina Dartmouth School of Business. But just some good context there, a vibe check, looking at data, looking at what's going to happen next week, get you a little background there. And like I said, today's podcast is a bit of a grab bag. 'Tis be how the news is sometimes. But don't worry, our next two pods will be jammed with campaign talk. And then there'll be so much campaign talk that you guys will be like, please talk about fall again. That being said, on the way out, I wanted to talk about the weather. Now, while we've been skating through what was predicted to be an above-average hurricane season, knocking on wood, and still keeping an eye on the tropics, I wanted to talk about another aspect of the climate, fall. Yes. In anticipation of our wind-down section with our fall expert, Mylon Schechter, I know Meg Kennard's writhing somewhere, but the National Weather Service in Wilmington, North Carolina, issued its fall outlook. As we are in the beginning of meteorological fall, a transition season when lowering sun angles, shorter days, and longer nights cause temperatures to drop. Cold fronts bringing cooler and drier air from Canada arrive more frequently as fall progresses, and higher temperatures, normally in the 80s throughout September, fall into the mid-60s by the end of November. Some people love the temperature drop. Stay tuned for that. But late fall is also when many locations across the eastern Carolinas will experience their first frosty morning of the season. But the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center is predicting an increased chance for above normal temperatures across the Carolinas this fall. So while it will be cool, it might not be as cool as you're used to. The precipitation outlook shows a slightly increased potential for above normal rainfall across eastern South Carolina. And when it comes to that first freeze, well, freezing temperatures of fall usually reach the Eastern Carolinas before Thanksgiving Day. The average date of the first freeze ranges from October 29th to November 21st, depending if you're maybe in Lumberton or Georgetown. But there is considerable year-to-year variability, so don't hold me to it. But the best part about the freeze, that brings an end to mosquitoes and fruit flies in your house. And then you got to bring your plants in. So get ready, y'all. It's fall. Welcome to the wind down section, our little break from the news. We're glad you're here, along with A.T. Shire, lead podcast producer, and resident fall expert, Maayan Schechter.
Give it up, folks.
It's so give it up, folks.
It's meteorological fall.
We knew
it's
we were
getting chillier.
We knew we were talking fall this episode.
The shadows are getting longer.
And if you could smell all the offices at public radio, you would hit one and go like, "This is the fall expert," and that office belongs to Maayan Schechter. So
we have the studio doors closed, right, locked, solid, tight, because it's wafting from your office.
It is.
Maayan.
It is.
Tell us what it smells like in there.
So, okay, the idea was pumpkin spice, but there's some kind of add-on to it.
Yes.
And so everybody, I think, has their own interpretation of what it smells like. Some people said it smells like you're walking into a bakery, or you've taken a dive. Oh, you've taken a dive nose first into a muffin, and you're suffocating.
Which would be an enjoyable experience, I think.
Unless
so.
It was
I think there's like this sciencey sort of amalgamation of what a pastry would be, you know, and it sort of like gets in your nostrils and doesn't let you breathe. It's a lot.
Because Maayan has a room diffuser. You left it in your office over the weekend, door closed, so it's concentrated.
Big mistake. I mean, I walked in. It almost was like I was wafted, like I was doing the breaststroke in my creamer.
Smell lines.
Yeah.
Even you were like this morning, like, it's great. I'm loving this.
Yeah, I think my whole body, my whole body and my hair definitely. My hair picks up smell and keeps it. It's going to smell like this throughout the next couple of months, so everyone be prepared.
And Daniel... He'll just has
to
that's
suck
marriage,
it up.
right?
That's
marriage.
Right. Compromise.
Needless to say, people, we have the expert in here.
That's right.
And so we're going to do...
I'm going to clarify, too. Meg Kennard, wherever you are, probably dying that she's not on this episode.
Correct.
We'll have to bring her in. We'll talk about it in Rock Hill with Meg.
There you go.
Sure.
But go ahead, Maayan. Go ahead, A.T.
So this is what we're going to do. I have a list of a few fall things here. And we are going to whittle down to what Gavin's favorite thing of the list is and what Maayan's thing. It can be separate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up something, and they can either keep what I've said previously or take the new thing. And so by the end of this list, we will have their favorite fall things. And I may not have gotten all the best fall things. And the last thing we get to, it might not be your favorite, in which I think you could fill it in.
Well,
you
did
know
a fall expert advise on this list?
No, I tried to search for this, and truly the internet's idea of fall activities is so lame that it was hard
Probably
getting
like
this
leaf
list.
blowing or something.
Oh, my God. The devil's blow dryer.
The leaves are represented in the list.
Okay, thank you. That's gonna be interesting.
So we're gonna
like a white elf and
we're gonna
exchange.
start off with corn mazes.
Who's going first? Maayan?
You guys can go together. Corn mazes. We can talk about how we feel about
Can
a corn
I
maze.
eliminate that completely?
Sure. I mean,
then the next one you'll eliminate.
The next one.
I've
Okay.
never experienced it. I've seen them. I've always been too terrified.
No, I don't want to be lost.
That's exactly right. Who craves the idea
we're too
of
tall.
being lost?
We could easily just find our way.
Well, one
through.
of us.
Well, I'm talking about AT. Too.
I have been in a corn maze, got sick of it, and just walked in a straight line through it.
Yeah, I could do that. Children of the Corn, though.
Children of the Corn.
We gotta do this with scary Halloween movies. We'll do that later in October.
Oh,
it's appropriate.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, next we're going from corn maze to leaf peeping. The changing of the colors.
This is reminding me of a West Wing episode. Watching leaves.
Yes, just looking at them. Like
just
obviously
enjoying.
we're going to take that over the corn maze. So yes, we're both on board with the leaf peeping. It's enjoyable. When I was in New Hampshire last October, it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, when I was
I'm not going to, that was happenstance. I'm not going to travel.
Would you travel to see
Maybe later in life I will do that.
Go
but
to Asheville when
Here we go.
They have an entire festival. Oh, you have to go.
Leaf peeping is good here.
I wish I had a sweater right now.
Okay, next, the take or leave leaf peeping over pumpkin patches. We're talking about we're talking photo ops. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think the thing with leaf peeping is that it's always going to be there, so I can leave leaf peeping knowing that it's in the background during the great browning that is our fall. I like a pumpkin patch. I like pumpkin carving. I don't know if that's on your list, but I would put pumpkin carving there. But pumpkin patch is fun. I haven't really done a patch photo shoot in a while. I've been barred from so many.
I have to keep the leaves. I just I mean, you both know me. I know not every single listener has seen me out and about, but I just do not exude pumpkin patch photo ops. I just don't. Like, I know my limits, and that is a limit I've never crossed.
I think it's just, it really, you got to imagine that the relationship's in trouble when they're dropping the fall photo shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She says this now. We're going to revisit if
I do have a pair of long boots. We talked about this. Maybe boots
Long
and the pumpkin patch
and
photo
that blanket
op.
Scarf.
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, here's the next one. Hayride. How do we feel about a hayride?
Absolutely not.
No.
This woman hates agriculture.
I do not want to sit on
I
a
don't
bale
either.
of
Listen to a
hay.
bunch of things with kids. Oh, God. Ugh.
Okay, so Gavin is
we're
on...
not like a haunted forest. We save
No.
all this for October.
See, exactly.
See?
So Gavin is on pumpkin patch. My aunt is still on leaf peeping. This is a big one. This is why I haven't included
Demarcation
all
line.
these different spooky things. I just have Halloween on the list.
Yeah, totally. I'll trade in
Yes.
pumpkin pouches for the high holiday.
So this is what the question I was asking my aunt. Are you a fall person or are you a Halloween person?
That's a really good question. I feel like I'm being is there one, I would say I'm definitely a fall person.
yeah.
I again never been really great at the Halloween costumes. I want to get there. I just can't get there. I think I love all things fall though. I do love, I remember I had great memories going trick-or-treating in my parents' neighborhood, and that was really fun, but I think it was more about like the weather.
Yeah,
and
the harvest, if you will.
Yes.
The reaping.
And I agree with
Yes.
that now in my older age. I think I used to be more about the Halloween, like in my 20s and early 30s. I think I've graduated to just the harvest
So
season.
are you both moving to Halloween here?
No.
I'm going to Halloween.
He's going to Halloween.
I don't
over
think
pumpkin
so.
patch.
I'm not surprised by either
Because
of
the
this.
leaves are evoking so much for you.
Yeah, like I feel
Whereas I'm
like
still nostalgic for Halloween
I
in
might
my
botch,
20s.
like a Bon Iver,
Yeah.
like a good Spotify playlist right now.
Bon Iver.
You
Bon Iver.
you could really throw my on right now if you just said fall fashion and comfiness.
That's I mean,
I know it comes in play.
we get to something close
Is
to
sweaters on this list? Because that could overcome.
Is soup on this list?
that. Next is close. It's close to soup. Next is close. It's cider.
Ooh.
We're giving fall all of cider here, okay? So how do you feel? Do you like a warm apple drink?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you like looking at leaves more? And Gavin, do
And
you
you
like
cannot do
Halloween
both.
more? No, you
You
cannot
can't
do
do
both.
both.
We're getting to our favorites.
I'm
Yeah.
so nervous that if I give up leaf peeping for cider, I'm not going to be able to get back to what the leaf peeping gave me.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? No, I'll go with the cider.
Whoa.
Because it'll be
smell
the
alone.
smell, the
It evokes-
chilliness. You're probably going to be drinking when it's chilly, and you probably are going to look at maybe a
We're just
leaf when you're drinking
talking
it
about
too.
warm cider, not hard cider, right?
I mean, it's cider. Cider. It's open-ended.
I'm still gonna go with Halloween.
I'm not surprised by either of those. Here's my favorite, football. Football next. I don't think there are going to be many takers beyond me here. Go Birds.
I'm happy that other people are happy.
I think I will say this. I'm gonna stick with cider, but like the one thing I do love, I never really watched football growing up, but the one thing I do love about the football season here is that's when like, okay, fall is starting.
It is fall,
We're
yes.
gonna get into the cooler temperatures. I mean, however, it is Columbia, so everything is
It's
like
still
95,
warm, yeah.
but like cooler temperatures and a nice little Gamecock sweater and the things that go a nice cool tailgate. I love that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stick with the cider.
Your sweater, your boots, your jeans.
That's
Okay,
right.
here's one. If we're talking smells, pumpkin spice. Pumpkin
This is
spice
gonna be
as a
hard
whole.
for this woman right here.
You got
spice.
me. You got me.
She's going pumpkin
Bam.
spice.
Taking pumpkin spice for $500, AT.
Gavin, you still Halloween?
Yeah, because I only do one pumpkin spice
One a year,
latte.
yeah.
I makes it even more exclusive.
You have a quota?
No, It's an exclusive drink by itself, so I want to make it even more exclusive by only having one of it.
Yeah, it's enforced.
And we don't say when it's going to happen. It's very top secret. But Mayan, I know I do enjoy the pumpkin spice genre of artificial flavorings.
It's so bad.
To the point where I said, are you going to bring in your pumpkin spice creamer to the office so I can put some in my coffee? That's how I'm shopping around.
Let me tell you about the journey that I took to get this pumpkin spice creamer today. It is the most Columbia story. Gavin heard it. I go down the street to take a right onto Rosewood to go to the Publix because I know they have it. Hit a train. So I said, hang on.
The universe throwing roadblocks.
I said, hang on. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down Assembly, and I'm going to take a right on to the street that I can't remember under the railroad tracks. That means I'll miss the train, right? No. I hit another one by the Student Village area.
This is a story of perseverance.
I hate to tell everyone this, but this podcast is sponsored by CSX. Yeah. We love it. America on time.
I had a goal. I mean, it took me about 40 minutes just to get that creamer.
Persevere.
Imagine if you're trying to get to a hospital.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh my God, yeah. Or to the statehouse to create laws and legislation.
If I die in an ambulance trying to get to the hospital in this city because of a train, I swear to God.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we on right now? Gavin, still Halloween?
Halloween v. Pumpkin Spice.
V. Pumpkin Spice. Okay,
2025
here is where we're getting into what you can and cannot wear when it comes to here. And I'm just saying the temperature. The temperature of fall. It allows the big boots. It allows the sweaters, the scarves, the flannel. Okay?
Go ahead,
okay, temperature.
Wow.
I'm gonna trade. This is a tough one.
Temperature is good.
It's not good for me because I'm going to go ahead and say Halloween still. You know why? Because when I go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, it's still very cold out there, and I can't wear my tank top like I could in the summertime. I have to cover up like a... There's a reason. I'm starting to get pale again. Like, I don't care for the temperature because you know what happens next? It gets even colder.
There's a reason we did a spooky pod and not a fall pod, right? Okay. Mayan is firm on temperature now.
Yeah, temperature. I mean, it does really go to the wear.
It's cozy.
I have bins and bins of sweaters. If I was a fashion designer, I've always thought this, I would create a sweater line. So I love a good sweater. And you mentioned the soups. I love a good soup. Love a good soup.
I know.
All right.
Chili season's here. I need to start making broths. Yeah. I mean, Gavin's slop season.
Slop. Yeah, he's in his slop era. Okay, and the last one here, the impending death of all things. The browning.
The great browning.
The leaves are dying. The trees are retracting all their chlorophyll. Everything is dying that falls to the ground, and everything becomes dead for extended periods.
I think I'll trade up Halloween for that just because it reminds me of my own mortality.
Sure. Mayan, are you sticking with temp? Are you sticking with cozy temps?
I am, yes.
The temps that cause the great browning.
I can't even say the words. I am.
Okay, well, Mayan's favorite part of fall is the temperature, and Gavin's is the death of all things. Wow, I think we really got to the bottom of this, folks.
I do think that this probably is very much like your horoscope or something. Like we've
Open up number 5. Oh, like the
fortune teller thing from grade school.
Yeah.
I mean, it predicted a lot for me, and here we are.
Mayan, did we miss any things that are your favorite parts of fall?
No, I mean, we generalized a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, like we talked about the soups and the sweaters.
Yes.
The 2 main S's.
Mm-hmm.
It's a liquid season for you. Ciders, pumpkin spice,
sweaters,
soups.
smells.
Ooh, yeah. The 3 S's. I will say this too. This was not part of your question, and it's a very fair to not be part of it. But my hair looks so much better in the fall because in the summer I can't. It's so poofy and it's just too much. The fall in my hair they're on the same.
I guess that sort of falls in temperature, don't you think?
Yeah, that would be why.
I think we nailed it, folks. Yeah. Thank you, Mayan.
Yes.
Thank you, Gavin, Mr. Death over here. We'll call him Dr.
It's not me. It's the season that does it to me. That's what I hate about it.
He falls back. I think he's just coping with his seasonal depression this way.
I've never been diagnosed.
I've
never been diagnosed.
He's using the veil of spookiness to cover up his seasonal depression.
You can treat it with 1 candy corn a day.
disgusting. Fiscal Blugo's
make
favorite
you feel
candy.
something in a bad way. But AT, that was an incredible list. I hope that folks at home or in the car were following along and have discovered their own list, come up with their own. 803-563-7169. Weigh in on the great browning. The fall, y'all, it's here. We would love to hear from you. We have to get some people getting fired up over this as we were. So
yeah, this
let
was
us know.
pretty controversial.
Yeah. Thank you, Maya, and thank you all for listening to the pod. You can stay up to date with the latest news on scetv.org and southcarolinapublicradio.org, and don't forget to support your local newspapers. The South Carolina Lede is a production of South Carolina Public Radio. Our producer is A.T. Shire. Amy Crouch is our supervising producer. Sean Birch is our executive producer. This podcast is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, as well as listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina. For the South Carolina Lede, I'm Gavin Jackson. Be well, South Carolina. About a rat catcher.
Yeah, that's you.
A rat catcher. I mean, he probably never went hungry if he was catching the rats.
That can go.
That's gonna go at the end.
That's it.
You gotta travel with all that dirt.